The Dead Pixel Society podcast is brought to you by Mediaclip, Advertech Printing, and Independent Photo Imagers. Welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast, the photo imaging industry's leading news source. Here's your host, Gary Peugeot.
Hello again, and welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. I'm your host, Gary Peugeot, and today we're joined by Julia Bocchese, who's from Julia Ray Consulting, and she's an SEO, AI search, and Pinterest consultant based in Philadelphia. Hi, Julia. How are you today?
Hi. Thanks so much for having me.
So before we get into Pinterest marketing and SEO tactics, how did you get into this kind of niche area of the SEO world? What's your background?
Yeah, so I have no SEO background, no formal SEO background. I was doing a very boring corporate publishing job, and I wanted a creative outlet. And I do enjoy photography. I'm still a hobby photographer, definitely don't want to do it professionally. But I started a travel photography site and learned SEO, Pinterest, all sorts of marketing strategies to help that website grow. And then when I was ready to quit my boring job, I actually went to grad school to study the Viking Age. So seriously, nothing related to SEO.
Not Viking cruises.
True. Yeah.
Vikings.
Yes. Vikings. Yep. Yeah. So I have my master's in history with a focus on the Viking Age, but I wanted a flexible schedule to go to grad school. So I started freelancing, doing a lot of content writing for small businesses, doing a lot of social media management because I had learned how to do that for my own website, and then realized that I really hated Facebook and Instagram. I loved SEO and Pinterest because of all of the data, and then also just the long-term results you can get from it. It's not flashy. It's not trendy. I know a lot of people prefer the flashy, trendy, but I really like seeing the long-term growth over time. So during grad school, I accidentally built a business, and I've been doing SEO and Pinterest for going on 9 years now.
Wow. So as you mentioned before, you were stalking me earlier, listening to some podcasts to prep for this, and you actually came up with, you mentioned that in one of the prior podcasts, you mentioned that Pinterest is, I think I myself or the guest said Pinterest is not the thing it used to be, but it's still of high interest to a lot of people, and it still has a lot of users. So can you explain to the audience how Pinterest is different from some of those other platforms you mentioned, especially from a business standpoint?
Pinterest is much more similar to Google than it would be to Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, wherever, because it is a visual search and discovery platform. So it's essentially a search engine just with images and videos. So when people go to Pinterest, they're going to search for information or for inspiration, ideas, things like that. Whereas on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, it's about getting views and followers and engaging with people. Whereas people on Pinterest, it's more like a library where they go to search for information, get what they need, and then visit your website, but they're not necessarily following you or commenting on pins or engaging in those ways. They're just searching for the information. So if you have the information that they're interested in, it's a really good way to lead them to your website, get them to sign up for your email list, purchase products, become clients. So it can be a really good way to get more clients and customers. Rather on Instagram and Facebook, you might have a lot of people who follow you because they really like your pictures or who you are, but they might never turn into customers.
Yeah, that's always been one of the things I've noticed about the drive to grab followers, right? You do the dance on TikTok, or you do the posts and things, and how many of those people are actually converting into actual paying customers, right? And obviously if you're running ads on Facebook or Instagram or whatnot, you can track some of that. But I've found that it's really more of a promotional vehicle. It's not necessarily driving transactions per se.
Yeah, so I definitely continue to use Instagram and TikTok and all of that, but it can be a very different way to get clients in the door if you're on Pinterest. And a lot of people who want to check you out to verify who you are before they work with you, they will check your Instagram and things like that just to confirm you're a human, especially in the world of bot websites right now. So definitely still use them, but you can have more of a strategy with Pinterest.
So I find your approach interesting because when I talk to people, especially social media consultants or people like that, we always talk about, hey, limit this stuff because you can't be on all the platforms. It just, unless that's your job, if you're running a camera store, how much time can you actually spend cutting videos and doing all this stuff unless you've got some Gen Z or millennial who's on staff who's going to do it for you, which a lot of them do. Whereas Pinterest is more fits into your Google bucket of your search optimization and your traffic driving and things like that. So for people who haven't been to Pinterest in a while, of which I would count myself among them, has it evolved as a marketing platform? What has Pinterest been doing to kind of differentiate themselves from these other platforms?
I think one thing that Pinterest does really well is that they really listen to what the users want, and they will actually implement changes based on that. So one thing a few months ago that was really big is they added a function where you can hide all of the AI created photos and videos and things like that. So you don't have to see it if you don't want to. Yeah.
Wow. So if someone actually does, for example, an AI created wall decor thing, I know say they're doing store, but they don't actually have any products. They just have AI stuff. You can Pinterest can detect that it's AI generated and then hides it from you.
You do have to manually do the settings, but yes, you can hide all of that.
Wow, that's cool.
And they're really focusing on improving the shopping experience on Pinterest. So they keep hiring, I forget where the latest CEO, I think maybe from eBay or something like that, just to make things easier for people to be able to purchase products directly from Pinterest instead of like having to go through the website and the checkout process. So they are making these improvements that are making things easier for users. But one really good thing about Pinterest is, unlike Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, the purpose of Pinterest is to get people off of Pinterest and onto websites. So the core of that has been around this entire time. That really hasn't changed other than maybe this new easier shopping experience they're working on. But a blog post, they want you to go visit the blog post and get information. So that has stayed the same, which is why it's so great for traffic and has remained so great for traffic.
Yeah, that makes sense because the business model, of course, for a Meta platform is to keep your eyeballs stuck to it so they can show you ads. Now, Pinterest, how do they make money?
Pinterest through Pinterest ads.
So tell me more about their ad plan. How intrusive is it? Those kind of things.
So the nice thing about as a user seeing Pinterest ads is that a lot of times the ads are related to something that you're searching on Pinterest. So if you go to Pinterest and you're searching for kitchen table, you're not going to get a lot of ads for cars or gardening or something that's not related to what you're actually searching for. Sometimes that might happen based on the previous searches that you've done, but usually it's aligned with what you're searching for. As a business, that's a really great way to fit your ads into what people are searching for already. It's a really good way to get more traffic. And then one thing that I like about Pinterest ads that I don't see anywhere else is that people can actually save the ads because they are integrated just naturally as pins are. So if they like whatever's in your ad and they save it for later, even if you stop putting money behind that ad, that pin will continue to live on and can still drive traffic and get more views. So even if you stop totally running your ads tomorrow, but other people have saved your ads already, you can still get traffic from that. So that's one thing where Pinterest ads are different from Meta ads. But it can be a really good place for businesses to have their ads because, again, it's really good for driving that traffic.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Photo retailers, energize your sales with ShareMe Chat, the proven texting platform. Using chat to text on your website keeps your customers connected and buying. See us at Pro and IPI to find out why dealers using ShareMe Chat close more sales without adding staff. Find out more at shareme.chat.
So some of the feedback I've heard regarding what's changed with Google search is they've prioritized their own AI, right? The Google AI in the search results so that people's search results are falling down farther down because Google's offering the AI driven answers as opposed to either the organic search or the paid search. So I've heard from people in my industry that their Google results are gone wonky because because they're not getting the results that they normally would expect because Google is prioritizing their own AI stuff. What is Pinterest doing? Are they doing anything along those lines, or are they working differently than that?
Not that I have seen so far. They actually made a change just in the last couple of weeks about the tagline for Pinterest about being like an AI-driven visual search engine, something like that.
Right.
But it's not clear what that means yet.
Yeah, how it's going to affect results.
So I'm not sure exactly what that's going to mean for the future of Pinterest. But since Pinterest's whole goal and everything is getting people off of Pinterest onto websites, I don't think they're going to have that kind of AI overview that answers the question, so you don't need to click on a website. And a lot of times the content on Pinterest is a little bit different from Google, whereas like you go to Google, how to boil an egg, something super basic, super generic. On Pinterest, you're not searring how to boil an egg. You might be searching for much more detailed, unique deviled egg recipes, something like that, where you're not going to get the answers in Cutlight overview. You do need to visit the website to get the recipe, get the ingredients, everything like that. So I don't think Pinterest is going to have totally copy the AI overview thing that Google has, but they might in the future have some sort of AI capabilities. But it's also interesting because they allow you to block AI results. So I don't think they're ever going to go completely AI direction.
So if you were a photo lab or someone who is producing wall decor or things like that, what would you recommend to somebody? Would you be showing customer results? Would you be showing like how-tos? Would you be showing a variety of those things? Is it okay to mix and match those? Or do you have, what's the strategy for something like that?
Yeah, so I would definitely test out different types of content to see what performs the best. It's very similar to Google with whatever you put on Pinterest today, you're not going to get results tomorrow. You do have to give it time. So don't put a bunch of pins on Pinterest and then make a decision next week on what performs the best. Give it at least 3 to 6 months. Definitely test out different types of content. You do need to have some kind of content. So whether you have a blog post, podcast, products, or even if you have videos that you're using for Instagram Reels, you can repurpose those as video pins. Do you need to have something to put on Pinterest? I would definitely test out videos on maybe how to arrange wall art or different sizes that you need to get for different sized walls, different types of frames, how to mix and match. You can also show like a process of printing on different types of paper or different types of material. I personally would love to see how you can print on metal. I think that sounds really cool.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah. So if you can show the behind the scenes, show the products, show your services. The thing that is different on Pinterest is people don't necessarily care about who you are, which sounds harsh, but they are there to search for information and for ideas. Whereas on Instagram, they may be following you for you, but on Pinterest, they don't really care about you as much. So I wouldn't do a bunch of videos where you are just talking, you're not showing anything, because no one on Pinterest, unless you have a ton of followers, really knows who you are. Also, another thing to note for videos is most of the time, the volume is off on Pinterest automatically. So if you do have a video where you're talking or something like that, you should have captions so that way people can immediately see what you're talking about without having to turn the volume on. Things like trending audio, those don't matter on Pinterest like they do on Instagram.
It seems to me like almost like Instagram, Facebook, etc., are personality driven, and Pinterest is content driven.
Yeah.
You really need to understand it's a completely different approach. You may have to do a completely different style of video or post.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So now when you're driving traffic from Pinterest to your website, what are the handoff is not clear there about where are there strategies to make that easier so that, let's say, for example, I'm looking at that video on how to make that metal print. I should be going directly to ordering metal prints, right?
So definitely link to whatever makes the most sense on your website. So if you have a services page, because it's something that would be a custom service and you have the details about it, you can link to that. If you have a category page for metal prints, link to that. I wouldn't link to a longer video or to your Instagram page or something like that. Make sure it's something that's on your website.
Okay. And you can, of course, track that. How does Pinterest stack up to other platforms in terms of ad tracking and all that stuff? Because Having done some Facebook stuff in the past, it's pretty impressive what you can do with those things. Of course, the Google Ads is probably the gold standard for that. How does Pinterest stack up for the novice user, for the person who's not an SEO junkie person?
So I don't do anything with meta ads, so I don't have a good point of comparison there. But with Pinterest ad tracking is pretty straightforward. You can see the keywords that you're getting the traffic for. You can see if you're running different ads, which ones are getting traffic, which ones are getting saves, impressions, all of that. Before you set up your ads, you do need to what's called claim your website, or basically add a line of code on your website that will connect it to your Pinterest account. So you can get those. But that also means that you can also track your organic traffic as well when you have your website connected with Pinterest. So that way you can also see, even just on the organic side, like which pins are performing the best, how much traffic you're getting, how many saves you're getting. If there is any pin that's getting a ton of impressions, but no saves or clicks, all these different things that can help you create your strategy going forward.
Does Pinterest have any decent support other than people like yourself to advise them? I was wondering where you go for help, because I mean, this whole industry built around social media advertising, but I never really hear much about Pinterest, right? And maybe you're the best person to reach to.
Yeah. So Pinterest, they do have the Pinterest ads experts that you can talk with if you have questions. There's also the Pinterest business community. It's a free community just of Pinterest users, but then also people who work with Pinterest. So that way you can, if you have an issue, if you have questions, you can post them there and then get different people to help you.
So if Pinterest's objective is to drive into a website, doesn't necessarily have to be your website, or could it be like an Etsy store or something like that? Is that a problem if you've got multiple platforms? Because that's very often what happens in our industry, right? You have people who have an in-store platform for camera sales and things, but they may have a different platform for prints, right? Can you mix and match among those in one Pinterest account?
For any third-party website like Etsy, you can't claim it. You can't link Etsy to your Pinterest account because you don't own Etsy. So that's the only thing where you can't get the specific data for your Etsy shop. You can, when you look at Pinterest analytics, you can see all of the data for everything that you've ever pinned, but you can't sort it between your website and Etsy, and like if you have another third-party website. So that's the only thing. If you do have something like Etsy, you can definitely pin to it, but you can't really easily sort the data there.
But you can measure the traffic clearly.
Yeah. And then I know on Etsy, I can also see like where your traffic is coming from.
Part of your approach is it all starts with your website, actually, correct?
Yeah. So you have to have a good website, because otherwise you're just driving traffic for the sake of traffic. And if it's not set up well for conversions or for product sales or something like that, then kind of what's the point?
Right. What are some of the things that people could improve on when it comes to getting people in to convert? Because that's one of the challenges our industry has, is it's basically one of the very few products, consumer products, where the end user actually has to do something to transact. Because if you don't upload the pictures, everything else, if you're just buying a pair of shoes off Zappos or whatever, you're just buying shoes. You don't have to put anything into it. Right. So what are some of the things people could improve on in those types of environments?
Yeah, I think just first of all, making it as easy as possible, making sure your site loads quickly. So if someone's uploading a bunch of photos, it doesn't take 5 hours and then they lose interest and get distracted. So making sure anything like that is just really easy and straightforward. I see this a lot of times with blog posts where you have a really great informational blog post, but then you don't actually have a call to action to lead people to your product page. You don't have any links to any specific types of printing that you're talking about in the blog post. Making sure that if you have a blog post or on your homepage, making sure you have calls to action that lead people to different product categories or to contact you if they have questions, especially if you do something that's very customized and they need to contact you for information or for a quote or something like that. So making sure the user experience on your website is set up really well, so it's straightforward. People can easily find what they're looking for. They don't have to hunt for things. And then also everything can just be uploaded really quickly and everything's straightforward.
Because one of the challenges that people have with marketing is they want to sell everything. They've got literally hundreds of variations of different products. We have this size print, that size print, this size print on this media, this size print on that media. And they tend to want to drop everything on people. Now, I'm thinking that actually Pinterest might help with that because it helps people narrow down their choices, because people may be looking at Pinterest. I'm looking for bamboo prints or ideas to do bamboo prints. So you can actually offer all of those things in a less confusing ways, because Pinterest is actually narrowing those choices down for you.
Yeah, so you can have a pin that just talks about one specific type of product, get them to click over to the website where you have that exact product link or the cart checkout, something like that. Yeah, so they don't get distracted with 500 different products.
When people are searching on Pinterest, is there any data on trends that people are searching for that you can follow? Like that during this season, people are interested in these kind of things.
So I'm smiling because there is an exact tool for that. It's called Pinterest Trends. It's free. The link is trends.pinterest.com. And yeah, you can type in a keyword, or you can just browse to see what is currently trending on Pinterest and get that data on like when things are most popular throughout different seasons, or compare keywords to see which ones get more searches, things like that. I will say it doesn't have the most specific data yet. So if you are searching for something very long tail keyword, essentially, they might not have data for that, but you can at least get a general sense of when people might be searching or what the more popular keywords would be. I definitely recommend checking it out. You can also start to type keywords into Pinterest, and it's going to auto-populate with what other people have searched before. You're not going to get the trending throughout the year data or the exact number of people who have searched it, but it is also a good idea to see how people are searching, different phrases that they're searching, and kind of get an idea for what to target.
Because timing is like everything, right? If you're trying to position for the fourth quarter and you decide that probably too late.
So Pinterest is very similar to Google, where you do need to have any seasonal pins up 3 to 6 months in advance. Christmas, you need to have things up in August, both because you need to get it up in time for your pins to start ranking before people are searching, but also people on Pinterest plan ahead. So they are planning for Pinterest they are planning for Christmas in September. They're like planning their Christmas card photos and like Christmas card photo designs and presents for people if they want to get things printed. So you do need to start planning for those major holidays well in advance.
Is there a ideal or persona for a Pinterest user? Is there a typical Pinterest user?
Gen Z is growing on Pinterest. So the age ranges from like teenagers to 60s. About 70% are women. It's usually like the largest chunk is between, I think, 30 and 50. So yeah, a lot of moms.
Which is great for my audience. That's perfect.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So moms who are planning the Christmas card photo shoots and everything and all the it is a pretty good mix. So even if you think your target audience isn't on Pinterest, I would at least try and see if they are. Men are growing on Pinterest. People who are retiring are also growing on Pinterest. So it is a pretty good mix.
And you said it, the platform's still growing, right? It's not, you mentioned eBay earlier, but they used to be the hot thing for a while, but you said Pinterest is still growing. Is it growing domestically and also internationally?
Yeah. And whenever they roll out new updates, they always start it in the US before they expand to the other countries. But I think they are getting more users in other countries, so they're trying to shorten the time that they roll out new updates everywhere. So
where can people go for more information on finding out about what you do and how you can help businesses?
Yeah, so my website is juliareneeconsulting.com. So I do have lots of blog posts, of course, on Pinterest. If you want to dig into more strategies, you can also find out about my Pinterest services there.
Thank you so much. And best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. Read more great stories and sign up for the newsletter at www.thedeadpixelssociety.com.